Justice Winslow with the poster on Marquise Chris.
Oh, boy.
And then look, just gives a calm stare down.
I like that. I
Yeah?
like that. Oh.
He rubbed his nose a little bit.
This is just usual for me. I do it all.
That's not really usual, though. He's not that good at finishing at the rim, but that's good. I'm glad that he went ahead and put it on somebody's head.
Scotty was talking yesterday about how guys back then, what was it? We were looking at Larry Johnson. You said that would be a technical today. The way guys act. So guys got to keep it more low-key now, and that's what happened. Welcome to The Jump. I am Rachel Nichols. Our insider Amin El-Hassan is back, crisscrossing the country to be with us today. And six-time NBA champion, Hall of Famer, Mr. Scotty Pippen. And in the jacket, too. It's so nice.
Yeah, no. What is that, velvet?
Sports test your character. I mean, we hear that all the time, right? It reveals who you really are. Well, up in Portland, there have been a few character testing moments this season. Losing streaks, blowouts at home, some players not just failing to grow, but seeming to regress. That is why before the trade deadline, we got a new round of do the Blazers have to break up Dame and CJ to get a more balanced team questions, and why even Lillard himself arranged a rare meeting with reclusive owner Paul Allen to try to figure out where the franchise was headed. But here's the thing about those test your character moments. It's never really about the moment, right? It's about how you respond. And boy, have the Blazers risen to the occasion. Lillard has been so hot for the past month. I mean, come on, Terry Stotts should just give in and wear a fire suit on the sideline, right? Since February 9th, Dame is leading the NBA with 35 points a game, shooting 48% in that span. But it's not just him. McCollum has also been so sharp, and the Blazers' long-line defense is now actually ranked 7th in the league. They're even locking down shooters, particularly outside the arc. But most of all, the Blazers have been resilient, and nowhere was that more on display than last night against the Lakers, who've been surprisingly spunky themselves lately. LA led by as many as 12 in the third quarter, and it would have been easy for Portland to just give in on the road, but Lillard made it clear that was not an option. The man scored 19 points in the game's final 8 minutes, including 15 in a row. During one 2-minute stretch, Lillard sank 4 straight threes. Honestly, I really did fear for Blazers announcer Kellen Calabro and his blood pressure. Take a listen.
They are right there in Los Angeles with Lillard a three. Lillard a three right down there.
You know how this is going to go down.
The tie. You know. Oh, Damian Lillard.
If the Blazers can really put some pressure on him, oh, he's not messing around.
He's going to do it again. Oh, 3 for 3. Damian Lillard hits it out of the park. He's got Randall Wallace, streaks in, kicks. Damian sidesteps another three. Up and in. Oh, come on. Come on.
You can just see them at the table. Portland has now won 7 straight, and as more traditional West powers like the Spurs or even OKC are struggling, it is the Blazers who are tightening a grip on the conference's number 3 seed. But honestly, if you ask Portland's players where they see themselves, that's about right in line. Lillard thinks he is as good as any point guard in the league. The team overall does see itself as a force. Of course, they haven't always played like it. But hey, that's sports. Sometimes you need some tests to reveal your character. So, Scotty, if you look at just points scored in the second half of games this season, Damian Lillard leads the NBA more than James Harden, more than Steph. Are you okay with the Blazers needing him to do so well to kind of win these games?
Well, I think so. When you look at Damian Lillard overall, his point guard play, his leadership, what he does with the Portland team, and the fact how he takes over game late, I think he's very comfortable in that. And you hear how he spoke out. He wanted to talk to Paul Allen about getting the team better. He's at that moment now in his career where he feels like he's probably the best basketball player in the NBA. And as a player who played in the game, you know that feeling. And he's unstoppable. I mean, you're looking at the game last night, the way he came out in the fourth quarter, the way he kept his team in the game, distributing the ball for 3 quarters. You felt like the Lakers had a chance up until the fourth quarter where he really turned it on and was just dominant throughout that final minutes of the game.
I mean, I guess if he's doing it regularly, you feel okay with that? You're not so good. I mean, you were like, before the show.
It's like a fire extinguisher. Is it great to have when there's a fire? Sure. Should we be having fires all the time? No. The idea is that we don't have fires, so we don't have to use a fire extinguisher like that. He's a great talent, and his ability to do these things, they're going to create memories. We're going to remember them and feel good about it. But You should not have to do that to beat the Suns. You should not have to do that to beat the Lakers. You should already take care of business early in the game. And I'm talking about the Blazers. I'm not talking about Damian Lillard, obviously. So that Damian doesn't have to be Superman in these situations, because guess what? You're going to play some good teams. It's in April and maybe May. And that's when you want to use that superhuman ability. But he's got to be able, and they got to be able to regulate and take care of business against lesser opponents.
But I think they feel that, hey, we have this guy who, as you say, Scotty, he thinks, I mean, other people say, oh, James Harden's a better point guard, Steph Curry's a better point guard. He will sit there and tell you, he told me during the All-Star break, I think I'm as good as they are. He thinks if you have that level of star on your team, you should be using him to function that way.
And that's what you call superior confidence. And I truly feel like that he's at that point in his career now where he has that type of confidence that he feel like he can take over games and he can win those games down the stretch. We watched guys like Kobe do it. We watched Durant. We watched Steph Curry. So why not say that, you know, he has that green light? He had a numerous amount of years to prepare for this and watch his growth and maturity. So I definitely think he's at that point.
I think he's at that point, too. I'm just thinking about, you know, does he need to do that against the Suns? That's my point. It's not that can he do it. I know he can.
By the way, it's not just the Suns. I want to show you guys the upcoming schedule for the Blazers. Here's the next month.
Yeah.
They have the third toughest remaining schedule in the whole NBA.
Oh, it starts at a tough one.
Yeah, well, okay, but that's tonight. But look, I mean, look at some of those teams. The Suns aren't on that picture that you see. I mean, this is the third toughest remaining schedule in the league. Given how tight the West is, there's basically a game separating 3 through 9. You think they're going to be able to hold on to that seed?
And see, that's the tough part. When you talk about 4 games separating 3 to 10, the Western Conference playoff picture is very fluid. And so you can't afford, for all these teams, this is not just the Blazers, all these teams 3 to 10, you can't afford to drop the gimmies. Last night, the Spurs beat the Grizzlies 198.
By 2 points. That game was insane.
You can't have that because those are the gimmies.
Right.
Those are the teams that are going to the bottom and headed there on an express train. You're going to play some of these other good teams that are not only just good, but they're also fighting you for the position, and that's where we're going to be having issues. To me, that's all I'm talking about. Damian Lillard is a tremendous talent, one of the clutchest players that we have in the game. If I'm the Blazers, I feel Batman. We had to rely on Dame to save us again.
Well, I feel this way at this stage of the season that all teams are playing good basketball.
Certainly
so
in the West.
You really can't take a night off, and I don't care if you're playing against the Lakers or Phoenix. Everyone is prepared to come out and compete against you every night. So you're going to have guys like Damon. He's going to have to step up and play a great game against a team like the Lakers because the Lakers were playing great.
Yeah. I want to switch gears here because I want to talk about the piece Kevin Love put on the Players Tribune, where he gets very honest about his battle with anxiety and panic attacks. He said his first panic attack was this past November during a game against Atlanta. He needed to check himself out, go back to the locker room. He was later escorted to the hospital. Here's an excerpt of what he wrote. Quote, I was running from room to room like I was looking for something I couldn't find. Really, I was just hoping my heart would stop racing. It was like my body was trying to say to me, you're about to die. I ended up on the floor in the training room, lying on my back, trying to get enough air to breathe. Now, after Love's piece dropped, we got additional reporting. Filling in the blank, it was indeed a panic attack that Love suffered again when that game against the Thunder in January, remember, that caused so much consternation within the team and the subsequent team meeting and players questioning where he was or what happened to him. Scotty, what's your reaction to Kevin deciding to go public with all of this? Because in private circles around the team, this was pretty well known, but it was just sort of like, okay, we'll let Kevin come forward with this in its own time.
Yeah, well, I think he said it best when he said Derozan kind of opened up the doors for him to, you know, explain and sort of put his issue out there. So I think a lot of times we sit back and we try to evaluate things and issues going on with these teams, and we don't really know the real truth. And this is one of those situations where, you know, Kevin has kind of been on the outside looking in a little bit because we've been a little bit worried what's going to happen when he get back into the lineup after he had the break of the finger. So I'm just happy for him that, you know, he's able to open up and express himself, and hopefully, you know, he does continue to get help, and, you know, he's able to suppress this anxiety problem.
Yeah, the positive, obviously, about both these guys is it's not just for other athletes in the NBA, it's for everybody.
Right.
This is something that affects a lot of people all over the country, all over the world, and it is a taboo in many societies, many cultures. It's taboo to talk about, I'm not feeling well on the inside, or something that's not tangible, like a broken hand or something, or a sprained ankle. And so by talking about it, being open about it, that even a multimillionaire athlete who technically you're doing something you love, why should you
Has
have
everything, right?
That doesn't matter. None of those things matter. This is a disease that afflicts and does not care and does not discriminate when it comes to that.
I know our Jackie McMullen is working on a piece about sort of the way teams are set up to deal with this. And frankly, in a lot of ways, they're not. I mean, you've got trainers for everything, Scotty, but there's not really a regular system in the NBA right now to address the fact that players have mental health too. And it is a very demanding job. And there are factors, just human factors, that come into this. So I'm curious to see if Demar Derozan coming out and talking about depression earlier this year, Kevin Love talking about his panic attacks, if that starts to influence and make the NBA feel like, you know what, we got to set up more for our players here.
I also want to point out Ron Artest, what he did was now 9 years ago.
Yes.
He auctioned off his championship ring and donated it to mental health.
It's been consistent ever since.
Yeah, I think that was the first guy to kind of open the door and be very honest and frank about it. He shouted out his therapist right after they won the championship.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So I think we'll see a lot more of this, and we should continue to talk about this. Coming up, Dwayne Casey, your coach of the year. First, here's a distant replay. This date, 1994.
Producer Steve says it's the best block ever. Oh, is this the one with the pause?
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I remember this play.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
The ball, I mean, come on. To the hip, that's amazing.
Dunk, but probably should have tried that.
They want to dump that one off.